Hey, what's up, street gods? The Eric from the Eric Street Photography Blog. Yeah, so currently here in Saigon, in the Japanese district, and yeah, just wanted to chat a little bit with you and catch up. All right, so the first question is, what are you doing in Saigon, and you know, essentially just how are things? So first and foremost, the reason why we're in Saigon is Cindy's doing this conference in Singapore, and I figured while we're in Asia to reduce jet lag, might as well spend some time in Saigon. And personally, Saigon is by far my favorite city in the world, hands down. It's so obvious. Okay, so let me outline why I love Saigon so much. So first and foremost, there's so much optimism, and there's actually a really good culture here. So I see this especially being manifested in the youth culture. So there's a huge population of young people who are really hardworking, who hustle hard, and they're just like really friendly. Everyone smiles, they're really nice, and a lot of the kids, they learn how to speak English on YouTube. So most everyone you speak to, their English is actually pretty good. And not only that, but the city is currently booming so much with construction, this development. So there's so many economic opportunities. So a lot of, you know, Japanese businessmen, a lot of Korean businessmen investing a lot of money here. And so you see like new subways being built, new skyscrapers being built, and it's so optimistic because the problem with the States and other places in the world, you can even see here, there's a Korean restaurant. All right, so I'm getting distracted. Right, so essentially what I mean to say is, I feel like in the States and, you know, like Japan, it's already been so built up, so it feels like the underdog, you as an individual, you can't really do much to essentially do entrepreneurial things, like especially in Japan. I don't know, I think people are just like really not optimistic at all, and it's not due to the people, it's just the fact that Japan's been industrialized for so long, is that there's not really, it doesn't seem like there's much room for upward mobility. But here in Saigon, because there's such a huge new rising middle class, working class, youth culture, there's so much optimism. So I think just one of the philosophical things I personally learned is, I think in life we kind of need some sort of concept of upward mobility, this kind of hope that life is going to get better, and as long as you work hard, it's going to be a good way to stay motivated. Because if you don't feel like you have any upward room to grow, what's the point of life, essentially? So that's pretty good. Also, like, one thing I've been doing too is that, like, I just been loving the super fast Wi-Fi. Obviously the coffee is really good, and also the thing that I really love about living here is that life is so much more communal. So you might have seen my workout video in the park. Is every single morning across my hotel, there's this really nice park, and I just go there and I work out, and actually more so than working out, I just love to see people talking, people chatting, and it's kind of this very optimistic culture where, you know, people are friendly, people are smiling. And also the thing that I really love about youth culture is people are just, the young people are just genuinely curious. They'll ask you, say, oh, you know, where are you from, what are you up to? Whereas I feel like in the States, the youth culture is like, everyone's kind of a little bit standoffish, and everyone's trying so hard to be cool. So that's so the nice thing about being here is, yeah, there's this kind of hustle spirit. And also what I love about living here is, man, especially like if you're a Westerner, I almost kind of wonder to myself, so obviously if you have the option, like, why would you live in the States? Why would you live in Europe? Why would you live in all these other places? Whereas living here in Saigon, and, you know, a lot of other parts in, you know, Bangkok or places, other developing places, there's so much more optimism, and that's actually a lot more exciting and interesting. So, you know, this concept of being a digital nomad or living on the road or whatever, I think it's actually much better to live in a developing country, because then you see the spirit of development all around you, and it's infectious. And I don't think that we should just be totally slaves to our environment, to, you know, I think what actually happens to a lot of us too is that we want to move to interesting cities because we feel that if we move to an interesting city, we'll feel more inspired. And it it is true, but I still do believe that if you do stay focused on yourself, and it is possible to still stay inspired by not living in a place that's super interesting. But anyways, going back to Saigon, is the cost of living here is so much cheaper, and because the Wi-Fi is so fast and people are friendly and the weather's good, it's like, man, to me this is almost like paradise. It doesn't really get any better than this. But essentially what I just want to do, and then I've just been doing some like philosophical musings too, is that like, you know, living here, essentially we're just living in a hotel and just working at the park. I don't eat breakfast or lunch, I just have one meal a day, and there's an upper limit to how much money you can spend on food anyways. And you know, I don't own a car or any other fancy stuff, so it's like, if you lived a life where you couldn't really buy any more material goods and things, what would you do with your life? What would you do with the time? And I think the answer I have so far is, yeah, to make art, to empower other people, to create poetry, to make films, make video, to interact with people, and you know, philosophize and figure out more stuff about life. So essentially, yeah, I'm just feeling super good, super optimistic, lots of new opportunities. If you ever have the opportunity, please visit Saigon. It's an amazing place. And always remember to be open, grateful, with an open heart, and also stay entrepreneurial, take risks, shoot for the moon, and know that you're capable of doing really cool and epic shit in life. Peace out.